hopefully everybody's enjoying watching some Speedromizer 6. I am enjoying going back and looking through all the donations that came in, and just seeing how enthused at least one person was for fish puns, which I approve of because I am a big fan of fish puns. So I'm glad people donated towards getting as many fish puns as possible. Last week I didn't have any fish puns prepared of my own because I didn't know to come prepared with fish puns. This week I will do my best not to flounder if the opportunity arises, but I will not be the one on the hosting mic for Subnautica, so I can't flex my pun muscles as much as I might be able to if things had lined up differently. But I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on things and looking forward to as many of those fish puns as people can get. I will say shout out to all of the tech behind the scenes, keeping things running, getting everybody set up in between every run, making sure things work, because this marathon would not be possible without all the tech people running things behind the scenes. The unsung heroes of the event. Because you don't hear them on the mic, you might see them doing some runs here and there. But you don't ever get to really appreciate just how much goes into a marathon like this behind the scenes when you're just watching it on Twitch. So big shout outs to everybody helping to run things behind the scenes, both today and all throughout the event. All right. I hope that everybody is ready to see some Neon.Code. Any %. So, whenever you're ready, LRFLEW, take it away.
Hello, everybody. So, I am LRFLEW. This is Neon.Code. And so, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hi, everyone. I'm Karabachi. I'm the teacher for this run when it's submitted. Just a fun little game I sometimes do on stream, pal around with people, and it's a good time.
Alright, and so the start of the game actually is that a murder takes place over here, but because the load times in this game are fairly inconsistent, we actually start the run by reloading the first checkpoint, which puts us past the intro sequence. So I just wanted to kind of point that out here. Alright, and so go ahead and start the run in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright,
good luck.
So the first thing we need to do here at this point is we need to get our car fixed. The car is very important for the run because it moves a lot faster than we do, and for that I need to go into the office and grab a few things.
Yeah, in the old route of the run, we actually didn't get the car. We would just skip past the barrier and go do things without it, but LRFLEW found new stuff, and we don't need it,
yep.
Or we actually need it now.
Yep, by loading that checkpoint, you actually end up removing the barrier that tries to keep you in the starting area, which is pretty silly. Anyways, from here I need to shoot down and interact with 3 drones, so I shoot down the one over there, I shoot down the one over here, and I interact with it. The idea is that the third one you interact with has the item I need to trade with that guy right there to get the fuel for the car. But I shot down that one, but I didn't interact with it, and that's because I'm actually doing some manipulation. After a little bit of time, they get back up, and when he gets back up, he kind of resets his path, which causes him to wander into the gas station, which allows me to much more quickly grab him so I can get the item and trade it for the fuel. Now, I'm supposed to have a jerry can to put the fuel in, but I don't right now, just the weird quirk of this game. Anyways, I take the $20, exchange it for a battery. Very quickly setting up the car here, so I put the battery in the car, grab the jerry can, which has the fuel now apparently, fill up the car, and off we go. So from here, we end up actually skipping quite a bit of the game. So you're supposed to go to the victim's employer, and then visit the victim's apartment, and then from there talk to the victim's sister, Alice, meet her at the bar, and then walk over to the theater to have the conversation. But the culmination of all that just tells you need to head over to the warehouse here. Since we're speedrunners, we know we need to head to the warehouse and what code to use, so we can just skip all of that and head up here. One thing you might notice is I still have the jerry can in my hand. I don't know if this actually has a name, I just call it Phantom Hand. But if you get into the car just after using an item, the game doesn't consider the item in your hand, but it will still show it in your hand. And what's great is it actually allows you to hold a bunch of things at once, which is quite funny looking. Anyways, we enter the code, and then we pick up the receipt for a hotel. So we want to visit the hotel, but the hotel doesn't necessarily want us getting in. So we need to find a way to sneak into there.
Yeah, I know Ghost, one of the other runners of the game, calls it item storage, where you just have it stored up in your end. And yeah, this hotel is rather impregnable. I've tried to clip through it in many different ways and have never succeeded.
Yeah, there's not really any, useful out-of-bounds stuff in the run, which is why I made that a donation incentive. Anyways, we talked to the guy who does the laundry service that the hotel uses. We ask for his card, and he agrees that if we go do his job for him while he goes off to the bar, then he'll let us break into the hotel using his access key, which I'm sure is a smart move on his part or something. Yeah, so this part is kind of the annoying part of it. That vehicle moves a bit slower than your normal one, so you just have to go around to these 3 spots on the map, pick up the laundry, put it in the vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, we needed a new job. Being a detective is hard.
Exactly. I mean, I think we were the police detective originally, and then we decided to go to private investigation. Yeah, I'd say we have a minute. If you have anything you want to read real quick, now would probably be a good time.
Absolutely. So I'll just remind everybody that we are raising money here today for QMUNITY at Speedromizer 6. So if you'd like to donate to QMUNITY, you can visit the Tiltify campaign at speedromizer.live/donate. You can also find the donate link below the stream and in chat by typing !donate. All your donations are sent directly to QMUNITY. So be sure to get those donations in if you are so inclined. It is all going to a very good cause.
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a safer route here for the speedrun marathon. In my record run, I went the wrong way down this road, but if a car comes at you, it is basically impossible to dodge, so it's a little safer to kind of take the long way around. Something really funny actually happens up this way. So as I mentioned before, we skipped over the part where we're supposed to meet Alice in the bar, and you do that after going to the victim's apartment. So going to the victim's apartment is the trigger that unlocks the front door to the bar. And so since we skipped over that, the door to the bar is actually still locked. So the cleaner guys that we made the deal with supposed to be going to the bar, but they've been stuck on the door the whole time. Which is convenient for us because it means we don't have to walk as far to get the hotel key for them. And then from here we have the big change to the run that I discovered, which is we don't actually go to the hotel. So when you go to the hotel, you're supposed to get this pretty long scene where the assassin runs away from us, hops onto like an airplane thing and flies over to his boat and drives it over to the dock. Oh, it's bad. But for some reason, just getting the hotel card actually causes the boat to spawn over here, which is really silly, but it means we can just go over here and pick up the Bible. And yeah, finding a Bible on a boat is a bit of a strange thing, so we decide to go ahead and check with the church to see if they know anything about this.
And the church is known for being very secure.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The church is one of the sillier parts of this run. There is an intended way of getting inside the church, but for speedrunning, we end up just going up here to this gate that doesn't actually exist, and then jumping through the window that doesn't actually exist. You know, normal stuff. And we go ahead and put the Bible in the conspicuously Bible-shaped hole, go over here, and click on the phone. So what I just skipped over there is that we figure out that Alice, the first victim's sister, is the last target of the assassin. So we go ahead and tell her to meet us back in our office, which, you know, if you know anything about detective noir stories, is when everything starts going right. Just, you know, nothing could possibly go wrong in this. Yeah, one of the annoying parts of this run is that your car kind of has like no weight. So if you hit a person or another vehicle or something, you're trying to squeeze by, your car just comes to a dead halt. Yeah, the car physics in this game is a little wonky.
Yeah, it's affectionately car NG.
Yeah. Anyways, from here, just need to get out. Getting out of the car is sometimes a little tricky. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Anyways, we just click on the ransom note on the door of our office, and now we have to head over to the cabin in the woods. Yeah, driving there is quite interesting. We end up doing a little bit of off-roading just to try to kind of cut the corners, because this is kind of the longest distance we have to go to reach a next goal location. A little bit of car physics there.
Yep.
Yeah, so there is an intended route. There's like a sign, and it's like well lit and stuff going down this road. We don't do any of that. Instead, just kind of go over here, try to dodge between the trees if we get lucky. Good enough. And see if we can just climb up a rock. Good enough. Alright, from here we're supposed to sneak in through the back entrance, but there's an invisible wall that kind of makes that route a little slow, so I just try to hit the trigger up here, and then wait for the door to open. Now this part is actually where I might have to do a quick reset, but luckily there's a checkpoint right here, so if I do, it's pretty simple. Anyway, say untie Alice. I'm just gonna kind of edge the assassin out, because if I pick up the gun before this door closes, I can end up getting stuck inside. And then from here, I just get into the car, which teleports there, and we end up in the final chase sequence. Now the physics for the assassin's car is actually pretty funny. You can see like it's not tilting on slopes or anything. It just moves.
Yep. And it's set to like always want to be the same distance.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. Anyways, this part is actually pretty simple. He basically goes on a set path, and as long as I'm within a certain distance, he'll just keep moving. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just basically as long as I keep up with him. And since it is a fixed path, if I end up slightly ahead of him, which I likely will at some point, some of these turns, it doesn't matter, I just keep following the path. And yeah, he just drives right through that light pole, which I can't do.
Yeah.
Also, probably the funniest maneuver the assassin makes is right here. You just, you just like slammed into that wall. Anyways, from here, it's pretty straightforward. He's just driving back towards that warehouse that we went to towards the beginning of the run. And also, yeah, he does kind of get stuck there. Yeah, so time will be coming up pretty quickly when the first shots are fired.
Oh.
What was
What?
that? Okay, that's new.
I have never seen this. Where did he go?
I do not know. I might need to reload the last checkpoint.
Yeah, maybe try walking to the end of the dock. Yeah, it's probably safer this way. That's... Wow.
Yeah, because I don't think walking to the end of the dock would have worked because of the other sequence.
Yeah, because he never got out.
Yeah, if entities aren't in the world map, things don't work quite right. Let's see, yep, that should be the trigger right there. Kind of frustratingly, the dialogue that you see at the bottom of the screen, that is not the same trigger zone as actually causes him to open this door.
Yep.
Yeah, some of this is just all sorts of weird. I've had it where he got stuck, unable to get into the car until I pushed him. This ending sequence is probably the buggiest part. But hey, speedrunner luck, I guess, right? You know, first time seeing that glitch.
Yeah, that was... I don't know what... Like, maybe you got slightly ahead and the car wanted to move around you, but...
I've gotten
no
to the end before the assassin, and it just works. I mean, the worst thing that happens is my car ends up blocking the pathing, but... That was just weird. It was like the car... And it tried to, like, keep going on the path, and it didn't quite hit the trigger it was supposed to, or something. That was weird.
I'm just really wondering where it went after that, because it turned around and just drove out.
It looked like it went, like, into the warehouse itself, and then it must have, like, hit the ending of its path and triggered some sort of error, and I'm guessing it reset back to the beginning of the path.
I get to go past all the old locations again.
Yep. Like the cinema off to the right, and the office building though straight ahead there. Yeah, so even now I'm slightly ahead of the assassin, and it should still just work. I'm gonna make a bit of a silly path there just to make sure I don't get it his way. Yep, there he is.
Yep.
Alright, time ends when the first shot is fired. Coming up now. Alright. So, yeah, so Alice came here, shot the assassin, and we're mad at her because now we can't get the assassin to verify that it was the employer that hired him, so I'm just gonna shove her out of the way. There we go. And that is Neon.Code. And as I understand, I have a donation incentive that was met.
Yes, you do.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna just go ahead and reset the game here, and I'm gonna go to the second checkpoint because this will probably be the easiest. So the donation incentive was for kind of an out of bounds showcase. This is going to be a little bit more. I think it's just going to be more of a general showcase because there were a couple other things that I wanted to highlight with all of this. The first of which I just want to point out is pretty silly. So at the beginning of the run, I had to use the jerry can to fill up in this gas tank, gas cap here. But you may have noticed that when I drove out, the gas cap was no longer there. And that's because it's actually just a floating cylinder in the garage. You know, very, very good solution to that. Lots of fun there. Alright, and the second thing I want to show off, there's an intro sequence that I ended up skipping over because, we started the first checkpoint. But there's a big title sequence that says, the name of the game, Neon.Code. And yeah, that title is just over here in the world. It's just hanging out. Yep. Neon.Code. In case you forget what the game's called, it's right there. And yeah, collision is kind of weird. That truck doesn't have any collision. This staircase over here, also, no collision. What does and doesn't have collision in this game is a bit random. And so the first area to get out of bounds I want to show off, just kind of over here. There's a little bit of a trick where if you just mash jump, you can climb basically any sort of slope. which is great because you can buffer a jump at any point during your jump. So yeah, you can just get a little bit out of bounds here, and I wanted to show this off because this is sort of what out of bounds is like. You know, this building right here, it's solid. This building is not. You can just walk right through it. And as you can see, the game doesn't quite like you being inside things. Things just sort of kind of pop in and out of existence as you walk around. It's not handling it terribly well. So yeah, as you can just see, you can just climb up at pretty much any slope. And yeah, very out of bounds at this point. I'm going to show off another out of bounds spot as well because it's a little bit more going on there. So back at that cinema, so I mentioned one of the sequences we skipped over. We meet Alice at the bar. We walk with her to the cinema, and we have a conversation where we learn about the warehouse. And over by there, there's actually like the easiest out of bounds spot for you to get to. But just before that, I wanted to show off another weird movement thing, which is you can climb pretty much any slope if it's slightly, sloped downwards. But you can also sometimes get up slopes that are sloped the wrong way. And so this tree here has kind of a weird collision. And there's also this fence right here which has collision. And so if you kind of get to the intersection point of that too, right about, yeah, there it is. And you can just up warp to the top of the tree. This is unfortunately not useful. I wish it was, because like if I could get just a little bit closer, it's like maybe I could get into the church that way, be able to skip that sequence. That hasn't worked. Anyways, with the cinema over here, you can walk in over here, you can go check out the theater, or you can just kind of jump over here to the side, and now we're underneath. And yeah, it's playing like a theater ad or something. And yeah, there's just a random theater seat down here, so if you want to watch a movie through between other people's legs, I'm sure you can get a good discount on that seat. And then from here we can get really out of bounds by just kind of walking out through this way. And probably one of the things I want to show off, so where I went out of bounds earlier, you can actually see the edge of the map, but unfortunately there's an invisible wall, so you can't actually quite reach the edge. But for some reason, if you go out of bounds this way instead, you can see the edge right over here, and you can just jump right off.
Yep.
So if I just keep going a little bit, and yep, down I go. And so from here, you can pretty much go wherever you want. There is sort of a respawn system in the game, where if you go into an area it doesn't want you to be, it will do like a 4-second countdown and try to put you back in the last good spot. But there's kind of no checks out here. I've wandered a lot out here, and there's some weird kind of objects and stuff just hanging around. I think I walked like 15 minutes just to see if I could reach the end of the skybox.
Yeah, I made it half an hour.
Yeah, I didn't quite get there. It might be possible. I haven't quite figured that out yet. And what I will show off is most objects in this game are kind of two-way collisions, so if you can't walk through one direction, you can't walk through the other. But the ground terrain is actually a little bit different in that respect, because, okay, it's coming up here. If you end up going through the ground the wrong way, you can jump up and it will push you back on top of the ground. Yeah, so there's only like one other thing I really wanted to show off, but it'll probably be like a minute to walk there. So if we have time, I can still do that. Is there anything you wanted to say real quick?
I will chime in and say that we have a $100 donation from Hobtor. And it says, DJ told me to say something about disco. Was it yes to disco? And as you can expect, that was put towards the disco costume for Resident Evil 3. So if you want to change that costume away from disco, you now have a lot of work to put in, a lot of donations to get in to change that outcome. And that also met the incentive for Toho Perfect Cherry Blossom randomized shot type. So that incentive was also met thanks to Hoptor's $100. So thank you, Hoptor.
Yeah, so from here I'm kind of just walking back towards where that cabin was at the end of the game. And the thing that I noticed over here, I actually was experimenting with this to see if this would like somehow let me clip into the cabin, but as I mentioned, most objects have two-way collision, so you can't quite clip through backwards. But what I did notice is that there's just a default cube hanging out underneath the ground here, and then another one over here closer to where the well is. I was not sure what these objects were for, but my best guess is I noticed that the cube over here is pretty close to where the assassin ends up kind of spawning to when you go open up the door. And then when you open up the door, your car also seems to spawn right above this cube. So my best guess is that these are visual indicators that the developer used to figure out where the spawn points were when setting them up, and then just like didn't remove them. So that's always fun. One last thing I could show off here is what happens if you try to do this sequence the wrong order. So the objects for the assassin and Alice aren't actually spawned in until you do the sequence correctly, but you can still try to take the back entrance into the place. But then from here, it's supposed to trigger a scene where that door opens, and that ends up removing this invisible wall, but they're not spawned, so that won't happen, and now the door is locked behind me. So yeah, this is a bit of a soft block. And yeah, that is Neon.Code. Yeah. Anything else? Let's see, I guess I should shout out myself. I mean, I'm LRFLEW. I don't really stream on Twitch or much or anything, but sometimes I do. So feel free to check that out, or my YouTube, where I put some of the speedruns I do.
Yeah, it was a good run, a little weird at the end, but I mean, that is Neon.Code in a nutshell. So
yeah, pretty much.
It was a great go at it.
GG's all around.